Haitian wicked.
Right.
Because those same men could have met up and created this and opened up doorways to banks here for communities. It happens, but you have to demystify the reality of things. It's like, for instance, and not to get off topic, but if we're going to go in a little bit, let's go in just a little bit.
Wait. Before we go into the international side, because we're getting ready to open up the door to Queen Charlotte and Angelo Solomon, and we're getting ready to go crazy. I just want to show you how all wise, right, and exact our ancestors was with this science. If you can hit the share button real quick, Ron. Because there's one thing to talk about the soul of Osiris in a disconnected kind of sense, right? So if you look right here on the right of the screen, this is Bane Jadet. This is the original right here, long before there was a Baphomet. Baphomet just got created 1800 or 1700 or something like that. That's a new thing. It's 100 years old, maybe, or something like that. 200 years old tops. This right here is the soul of Osiris. And to show you how advanced they was with biochemistry, right here on the left is your ventricle system. This is what your ventricles look like. So this is actually what the goat really is. This is your ventricle system. This is in your brain. The goat is in you. This is not like a mystical thing we need to imagine, right? And this is where what do we do here? This is where information processing happens. So when the brother's talking about studying and learning, this is where information processing actually happens. And this is the reason why today they still call what in all of our computers, the information processors are still called RAM to this day, because RAM today is still synonymous with light or information processing. So this is what our ancestors was on. And if you look at the connection between the fourth ventricle and the third ventricle, you get the aqueduct of Sylvius, which is the origin of the silver cord or the cable toe. So our ancestors was ahead of the time in terms of, the science and what we were doing. Like everything had, levels to it in terms of real application. A lot of the problem is people have forgot that, the inner mysteries is about the inner mysteries. The inner mysteries are about the inner mysteries. You know what I'm saying? So, that's and there's even levels to that where we can go even deeper into the biochemistry. You know what I'm saying? But I do want to pick up, or let Khalil finish and then go into that international conversation, because American Masonry is different in many ways from what happens outside of America. So I had somebody ask me that question earlier. Is American Masonry different than, Canada or the Caribbean or Europe or France or Africa or this or that or the other? So, and then in the historical narrative, in terms of liberation of Black folks and some of those other things, we definitely got some conversation to have. So, yeah, go ahead, Khalil Allah, you want to pick up?
No, I wasn't going to go international. I was going to speak reference to, we don't understand that secret societies, as they may call it, has always played a role in our lives, even in the manifestation of the creation of the American flag.
Correct.
In Theology of Time lecture, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad speaks of that one of our scientists designed that flag. Now, to the normal who don't study would say that doesn't make any sense. But if you read the work, Secret Destiny of America, America's Secret Destiny by Manly P. Hall, indeed, he makes a discussion of an individual that he called Professor.
That's right.
Who was friends with George Washington and Benjamin Franklin. George Washington was a Grand Master here. Benjamin Franklin was a Grand Master in France, and he was also a Rosicrucian, right? Now, this individual who they called the Professor, Manly P. Hall is citing out of an older work. The book name is called Our Flag. That is what he's citing out of. And this individual that they called the professor stated that this man will keep a book that he kept under lock and key. And they will see him open that book and he will write in it, and that he barely ate, and that he will go away by himself, like in the mountains. But even though he wasn't a politician, when he sat amongst, they allowed him to speak with authority and command into what direction this government will go.
Right.
And that he initially was the one who designed the flag. They then changed it back, and he came back and changed it back again.
Right.
So this is documented that this has occurred. No more than the individual when they were signing the Declaration of Independence, and the individual appeared inside of the room, inside of the chair, or even though all shutters and doors was closed, had a conversation with them for almost 45 minutes, convincing them to sign the Declaration of Independence, and disappeared. This is what they wrote.
That's fact.
The people that was there.
Yep.
This is not something that somebody said they said. This is what they wrote.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to understand that these type of societies and powers that come into being has always played amongst us. Right. And in reality, they have walked through the corridors of Freemasonry because it's a good tool in order to move amongst the aristocratic powers and the people that control governments.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I mean, we only have the largest monument to Freemasonry ever built sitting at the Giza Plateau. Like we only have that sitting right there.
Absolutely.
And the other part to what Brother Khalil just said is this: Europeans are using it. They built this. They built the present civilization and the present society on it, or based on
1,000%.
But make no mistake, it's ours. It's the brainchild of Asiatic men and women.
1,000%.
Our brainchild. That's ours. So if you look at it from the wider lens and we take personality off of it, it's still us, at least from, a product of our brain trust.
Right? Agreed. Agreed.
Well, let me say this. There's never really been the funny thing is we usually speak about the quote unquote Europeans, right? We speak about the Europeans in a certain type of way. Like it's the Europeans, blah, 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 right? But let me show you this. Let me show you this one more. Let me hit the share real quick, because I want to show you guys that Masonry doesn't hide its origins. So this right here is called the Regius poem, or the Regius, or the Hallowell manuscript. This is the oldest authenticated Masonic document. And in this document, it states plainly that they counterfeited Masonry from Egypt and named it, they counterfeited geometry from Egypt and named it Masonry. So here they say plainly that they stole Masonry from Egypt. Like there's not a, a lot of times we're not aware of these things. And that document goes back long before 17. What is that? Whatever the lodge, when the
1717.
Yeah, way before 1717.
Yeah, that goes back way before 1717, and they letting you know right there that they were clerks at the Library of Alexandria, and as clerks at the Library of Alexandria, they were poor people. So we're talking about if you take the time and read through that, and again, I have it in the book, so people want to go get the hint hint wink wink. But if you take the time to read that document, it tells you that today's royal class at this time, they were the peasantry, and as peasantry, they came together and stole the scrolls, the papyri, the books, and counterfeited that information that they didn't have no business getting their hands on, right? And that's how they made their society today. Like, it's literally written in a document that's open to everybody, but you know, people just aren't really aware. Like, again, a lot of people join Freemasonry because they think they're gonna beat a traffic ticket. Like, they think that they're gonna get pulled over with, you know, like a dead body in the trunk and do some kind of sign language, and then all of a sudden the cop is going to let them, you know what I'm saying? And that's not, you know, that's not what it is.
It's definitely not that anymore.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
So
It's not, that's not, you know, that's not what it is. So, but the manuscript is there. The Hollowell manuscript is there, and it says all of these things in plain, it's written out in plain English, you know, that they count. And again, we have the largest monument demonstrating math, geometry, every aspect of masonry literally is sitting right there on the plateau for everybody to see. And to add insult to injury, how many degrees is in masonry? 3. How many pyramids sitting on the Giza plateau? the base of each one of these pyramids are squares, right? So if you go from there and then you go, okay, a base is a square, so you got 4 sides. You take a face of one of the pyramids, the face has 3 sides. Now you add the base to the apex, that's 5. You literally got the science of the 3, 4, 5 triangle sitting there, which is where they based all of electromagnetism and music and harmony and the science of particles and waves, and all of those things comes right out, like literally lifted right from there. So we literally have, you know, everything is sitting right there. I mean, we know over the years the papyri been stolen and some things been misplaced and this and that, but that's the purpose of the pyramids, because you can't put a pyramid in your pocket. You can't hide the pyramid in a vault. It's literally sitting right there with all the mathematics and the geometry encoded right there. And math and music are the only 2 sciences that man did not create. Those were here when man was here. You know, your body is hardwired for math and music. All the other sciences man created, but math and music, it's not, that's not it. You know, that for us to understand, for us to comprehend, for us to communicate, for us to process information, math and music, you know, have outdated any sort of, you know. So we got the pyramids. You know what I'm saying? We, you know, it's sitting right there.
So as far as what I remember is speculative masonry, and I think is operational masonry.
Operative
Masonry, which is operative is masonry, like actual masonry. So and then speculative is more dealing with the lodge, etc. Right? So basically, how you just broke it down, brother Enqi, there's a connection between the two, actually.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, what is the mythos that everybody knows about masonry? Is about Solomon's temple. You know, building the temple, right? But you know, we know if we do 5 minutes worth of study that, you know, the temple is the temple of man. It's the body, right? So, you know, again, it's low-hanging fruit. It's sitting right there in front of us, you know. Yeah, so that's, and then we got things like I said, we can go even further. We can go to the mirror diaries or the mirror papyri, which talks about the construction of the Great Pyramid, which story might have been lifted and put into Kings, as you know. So, you know, it's levels to it.
Okay.
I want to touch on the speculative operative thing for a quick second, right? You know, as you already put, you know, the operative side of masonry comes from the old, you know, masonry guilds, you know, and they were, you know, actual, you could almost call it a union in a sense, but they were actual Masonic guilds where the knowledge and skill of construction was given. Now, it wasn't just that simple. It wasn't just as simple as, oh, we know how to build edifices and we know how to build dwellings for the sons of men. No, it was much more than that. because again, these were guilds. They were trade guilds. You know, the whole, you know, signs, passes, grips, words, all that stuff came from the operative side. Why? What's so secret about being able to build a house? Well, the answer is, and this goes to like Brother Enqi just mentioned, like, for instance, those 3 pyramids where the Great Pyramid is and their alignment with Orion's belt, for instance, right? In other words, there was a high degree of secret science relative to building structures that would bring the celestial power down to earth so that the average layperson could benefit just from being in the building. So we're talking about
That's a fact.
Sacred structures.
That's a fact, and that's where you get the what we got: the guttural, the pectoral, the manual, and the pedestal. Now, a lot of people don't go further to check what those studies is, right? Those studies, when you're talking about guttural, that's your throat, right? Manual is with your hands. Pedestal is with your feet. You see what I'm saying? Pectoral, we know what that is. That's your chest, right? That's where you were first prepared to be a Mason.
And to speak of those operative guilds, you have one called the Roman Collegia.
That's a fact.
Of whom they give and state that they try to say that was the origin of Freemasonry. The Roman Collegia went all the way up into York, right? And they used certain symbols on their markings, but the Roman Collegia was started by a black man.
Correct.
Which was the second emperor of Rome,
mm-hmm.
Numa Pompilius. That's who started it. That's who organized it, right? But you had forms of Freemasonry that was already in existence way before even operative guilds.
Yes.
Before they even existed, you already have initiations of that pedigree already in place, of which Freemasonry's initiations is a watered down version compared to where it actually came from and the societies from which it derived from, which is all us.
Yeah.
Because even when you get into their societies, whether you Greek or whatever, that come from us.
Right.
So that's how they get it. They didn't come up with that. And as far as the rules of charters, in order for you to set up a lodge anywhere, you had to get a charter from a lodge in ancient Egypt. You had to get a charter.
Come on now.
And that's how you was able to work. You wasn't able to work unless you got chartered from the lodge of ancient Egypt. So we have to deal with things from a real deep perspective and get out of spookiness, because it's spooky. You understand? Yeah. You have to be able to know how, you have to know how to move in order to.
Wait, you touched the vein real quick. Going back to what we was talking about earlier with the martial arts. It's only in martial arts where they teach that you train the mind by training the body. But that's in the degree work, because like I just spoke about, the guttural, pectoral, manual, pedestal, right? That's the body. But through training the body, you demonstrate your moral character through what? Temperance, fortitude, right? Come on, prudence, justice, right? Right. So and this is how, you know, this is how we perfect that rough ashlar. So it's all comes down to the mind and the body. And that is the purpose of bringing those celestial powers down. We forget that we are celestial beings made from celestial material. Outside of the water that we're composed of, everything else comes from stars. You know, we talk about nutrition, but we forget. Carbon. That's right. We forget that all of these elements come from stars. It's stellar material, right? So we're water housing stellar matter that must be programmed by what? Light.
Talk about it.
Which is the whole purpose of masonry, is to do what? It's to get light and then study up and get some more light, and then study some more and get some more light, and study up and get some more, and so this is where we get the 7 liberal arts, back to the circle 7 again.
Absolutely.
Right, and this is how we travel the 7 seas.
Oh, no, don't say that. You're gonna get some more angry with that right there. What do you mean? What do you mean, huh? No, Woodrow Ali was not a traveling man. How dare you?
Right.
Yeah. Well, that he definitely was.
Right.
He's definitely that.
Listen, where did Elijah Muhammad get the title honorable? Yeah, all of these things is Masonry.
Deep right there. That's true.
It has its purpose, man.
Which brings me back to this. I gotta turn your mic off, Brother Khalil, because it's like feedback. Yeah. So which brings you back to the benefits of Masonry. Can anyone, I mean, I would like for you all to, chime in on that question, the benefit.
Making men better men. Working on yourself. You can work on yourself anyway in your life, but as Enqi said, when you have a group of individuals that are striving, or some are already, reached their zenith, it could rub off on you. They could teach certain things like, yo, chill out. You don't do it that way. Yo, change your diet. Maybe try this. I have knowledge of this. This brother have knowledge of that. He'll teach you how to work with this. I've been there before.
Yeah, and you get the money if that's what you're interested in, because a lot of people is like, yo, is there some money hidden in Freemasonry? Well, it depends. If you're industrious, if you want to be a part of the beehive and get to work, you get with some brothers that's out there that want to work, and you get into a group of men that are working entrepreneurial men. They're going to plug you into entrepreneurial spaces, and you'll be at, like, you're going to be in that space. If you go around, if you join a lodge with a bunch of brothers that's athletic, they're going to tell you, how to get the best protein or whatever, and the best training and working out. If you go to a lodge where brothers is into sex and gambling and getting drunk and looking sloppy, you'll be one of them pretty soon. Like, it really depends on, doing the homework both ways. Like, we know that if you become a candidate to become a Mason, the brothers are going to check you out, and they're going to evaluate you to a certain degree if they want to allow you to join their lodge, right? But on the flip side, you need to do the best that you can to check out the brothers in that lodge and what it is that they do. How does their charity look? What do their community events look like? How plugged in are they? Do these guys have children that they're at home raising? Are these guys at home with their children, raising their babies? Like, certain things like that you want to check on to see if that's the group for you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it's really supposed to be about. Taking care of your family, taking care of your business, and taking care of yourself.
All right. Another question for you, Brother Enqi. You are making a correlation between the body and Masonry a lot, and
yes, he is.
I want to know how. Now that's your thing. That's what you do, right? However, when I went into Masonry, right, and I just like I said, I went in and I went out, right, and I look at a catechism. How does the catechism and the rituals and things correlate to the biology of the body?
Okay, so here's the thing. The ritual is the ritual. That's Masonry, right? The catechisms are that's not exactly, that's separate. That's something different. You know what I'm saying? Those are what people would say modes of recognition. Those are the things that you won't get Dr. Enqi online. Those are how one Mason would recognize another. So that's not necessarily the ritual, right? Now, if you're talking about the ritual, right, you're talking about the inner mystery. So the information a lot of times is sitting right in front of you. It's just a matter of, do you know what you're looking at? Because remember, we don't see with our eyes and we don't hear with our ears. We see with our mind and we hear with our mind. Give you a great example. Everybody's probably had this. You got a favorite movie or a favorite book. You read that book or you watch that movie, you put it down, and it's amazing. You got a whole bunch of information, jewels out of it. It was crazy. Now, the book doesn't change. 2 years go by, you go back and read that same book, and you got way more information and jewels out of it that you didn't see the first time. The book never changed. You did. So because your knowledge, wisdom, and understanding grew, now when you go back and you read that book, you can get more out of it. You know, but you can do, you know, it starts right there. You know what I'm saying? The place where you're first prepared to be a Mason, right? Or
Okay.
the act of how you're led through a lodge. You're creating a circuit, right? We know that the body's electric now. So we know that the body is based on having an electric circuit. Once that circuit breaks, we're talking about transitioning over to death. And if we know about the ritual, it's about, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of things are sitting right there in plain sight, but that's why you need to go through the ritual. And then, you know, some of these things you might, you know, you got to study. And like I just gave you 4, you know, parts, the manual, the pedestal, the guttural, like sitting right there in plain sight. This is talking about the body, and training the body allows you to train the mind, right? Subdue your passions, turn that rough ashlar into a perfected one. And then that rough ashlar, that brick, you become a pillar of society, right? Now you can fit into the temple of society and become a good contributing member of your neighborhood, your society, where you at. That's why I was saying, when you're looking at the lodge, you want to know that these are brothers that take care of their kids. You want to know these are brothers that are industrious. You want to know that these are brothers with their head on their shoulder. You know what I'm saying? If not, that might not be the place for you.
Okay. All right. So what I'm trying to figure out, brother Khalil, my bad, brother.
It's okay.
Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready to talk. All right. So what I'm just trying to figure out, because
I'm gonna buy a mic. I'm gonna buy a mic.
what I'm trying to figure out,
I recommend the Wave 3. They really good and cheap.
Thank you.
You just cut back on when you're ready to talk, all right? So what I'm trying to figure out, right, is because the people who are not Masons are trying to figure out the benefits, right? So what okay, so if we're trying to, okay, I get you, I get your point.
So look, you got brotherhood, right? And the brotherhood is the benefits of brotherhood. So like we keep reiterating the benefits of joining brothers that are good brothers, industrious brothers, etc., and networking. There's also a level of the information where you're talking about ancient societies and cultures like you'll never learn about all of the cultures around the world, like how Masonry is set up. That's one of the things that makes it so beautiful. Then we're talking about esoteric sciences, the science of the things that you can't see, feel, and touch with your hands. Then we're talking about how those things play a role in your personal life and development, right? So then you get to a biochemical standpoint, you know. So every facet of life to learn about is in one beautiful system for you to do with, you know, for you to go, you know, you go at a certain rate, you know, but once you get that science, you are now a builder. Now you got to get your hands, you know, now you got to build with what you got. You know what I'm saying? Like the gods, the NGE, the gods will say, now it's time for you to build and add on, right? Yeah. So everything is there for you. It really is about what it is that you want out of life. What is it that you want out of life? Because for everybody, you know, financial gain is not the win. You know what I'm saying? For some people, it's family that's important to them. You know, for some people, you know, everybody's got something different that's important to them. And the beauty of Masonry is, in my humble opinion, is that you can find all of those things there.
I would say that Masonry is a curriculum. It's just like everything else. It's the same thing whether you study the teachers of the Most Honorable Lodge of Muhammad, the MSTA, or anything else. It is a curriculum. It sets out a curriculum for your level of study. If you are the type of individual that don't study, then you don't learn anything.
Right.
It's just simple as it works. But let me give you an example of Freemasonry, right? My grandfather, my paternal grandfather was a Mason. My father is a Mason. His father's father was a Mason. My grandfather was in Macon, Georgia. They killed some Klansmen at that time period for whatever it was, him and his brothers. The Klansmen was going to come and kill my grandfather and his family. A sheriff who was a Klansman, but also a Mason, came and got my grandfather and his wife and their children and took them to another county, turned him over to a sheriff who was a Klansman and a Mason until he got to New York City. If that's not a brotherhood, I don't know what else can tell you, right? That is it at work fully, and that's a 100% fact on how that occurred, right? When I went over to Barbados, me and my wife, when we went over there to that reality, a brother found out that I was a Mason, and I didn't get in another car the entire time. I got drove around the entire island. And then the restaurant was closed. And he asked the brother open up the restaurant to let him in.
That's right.
And they took us, and we was the only ones in there in order for us to eat. When I went to Cuba and I saw the big, gigantic Masonic temple, they let me in. There was no problems and whatever assistance as long as I was on the island, because I could communicate to my secretary. And this is the importance of when we are dealing with regularity. And it gets deep. Now, even though we can accept all Masonic bodies, because I recognize all Masonry, it doesn't matter where it comes from. But if you are talking about being able to maneuver and move around, regularity becomes severely important. Because if I'm going over to Europe, I can ask my secretary, let them know I'm traveling over. That communication will be given. Right. If I'm going to Ghana, that communication going to be given. If I'm going to Kenya, that communication going to be given. I will be received wherever I go that there is a lodge. It's a guarantee, right? So it is a very similar reality when Islam is at work.
Right.
When Islam is at work, then that's the
Hey, your mic went out.
Oh, when Islam is at work, that's the type of brotherhood that you get received in, right? But I'm going to show you how deep Masonry is. Masonry opens up doors into other societies.
That's a fact.
That you're not even initiated in. Let me take case in point. The Theosophical Society on Walnut Street. I went there, I knocked on the door, the library was closed. Short white lady who's the librarian, she lives in there. She said, listen, the library's closed. It just so happened that day, I had my pendant on. I had my light on. Real small, though. While she was ready to close the door, she looked and saw it. She stopped everything and said, you can come here whenever you want to. Call. I don't care if we close or not. You can get in. You have to think about flowers and all of them dudes, Fowler and Flowers, and how they was able to get in and sit amongst the Patashi order.
Right.
They was able to sit amongst the Patashi order and see their initiation because they were Masons.
Correct.
And they were recognized because of the degree, even if they didn't understand it.
Right.
them there, they did know. And
let me just add this part to it too. The reason why Masons are highly regarded and met in a certain way by other organizations, and not just other fraternal organizations, this is just people in general that are familiar with the order, is because of the standard of high moral character. So you're not even supposed to come to Masonry, you know what I'm saying, thinking what Masonry can, like what you're going to get out of it. It's about what you can contribute. You know what I'm saying? So it's the moral character that of the fraternity that precedes you when you say, I am such and such, you know, and then, you know, so now they're going to deal with you based on the moral character of the fraternity. When they meet you as an individual, now they'll get an opportunity to see just how much you live up to that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's about your moral character.
And also to add on to that, it is because when you're being received into serious esoteric schools, such as the Patashi Sufi order, the Theosophical Society that has an inner order, which many people don't know nothing about, which is called the esoteric school, which many never even heard of. But it's an esoteric school, which is an occult school, an initiatory school that is a part of the Theosophical Society.
Right.
Since they realize that Freemasonry is the outer portico, and all of those esoteric schools are just higher degrees of Freemasonry in operation. That's dealing with the higher levels of it. What we get in Freemasonry is symbolism that many don't understand, degree systems that we do not ascertain spiritually wise. So when you finally reach those schools that are seriously into that type of work, they recognize it. And they open up the doorways because the degree that you in affords you the door to walk through in order for you to learn your degrees in a real way, which is the inner workings of the degrees, right? So that's how that thing really works. So it really depends. And again, it depends. I'm not telling people that you should go and run to a lodge and knock on the door and come in and all of that stuff. What I'm saying is I will dispute the spookism that Freemasonry is your enemy.
Right.
It is not that the order itself is an enemy.
Right.
You have individuals that meet up. If certain individuals have an idea, it's an idea because only in Freemasonry are you going to sit down. You could be sitting down with a head of state, a president, an ambassador, a carpenter, an unemployed individual, a janitor, a teacher, a banker. In Freemasonry, in that lodge, when we meet up with each other, we all meeting on the level.
Right.
It doesn't matter who it is, and the doorway's open as far as talking with your brothers. And if they can assist you, they will assist you.
Right.
But that is Islam in real working.
Right. To your point,
I mean?
To your point, Brother Khalid, to punctuate that point, Mikey, you're not 23rd, are you?
Huh?
You're not down on 23rd, are you?
Nah.
Okay, cool. Anyway, on 23rd, right? Grand Lodge, Manhattan, Franklin Delano Roosevelt's lodge is in that building. He would not let his own Secret Service in there when he made meetings. Guess who his WM was? His worshipful master. And this is to Brother Khalil's point. You know who his worshipful master was? His gardener.
Wow.
That's tough.
Doesn't matter. Man.
Actual fact. His gardener was his worshipful master. You see what I'm saying? Now, another point Khalil made.
Yo, hold on. Yo, hold on. Yo, did you see Ron's face just now? Yo, hold on. Sharif, you've been kind of quiet, brother. That was beautiful. You came in and dropped a
I'm
bomb.
That was heavy.
Was a bomb right there
heavy.
for Ron right there. I think Ron finally got
You
his
gotta hit a
answer
bomb, brother Ron. Where the bomb man for that?
Yeah. I can't let that moment pass by like that. That was tough right there.
But
that was
that's good enough.
Right
that's good enough.
It comes to show you it doesn't matter where you at in society. Once you win, you win.
That's right, brother. Now, until another point that Brother Khalil made, that very, very powerful point, that Freemasonry serves as an outer door to other higher inner orders. So he mentioned the Bektashi. The Bektashi is a Sufi order. Now, if you go to Istanbul, Turkey, they speak of the Bektashi, listen, as Masons, alchemists, Kabbalists, and Muslims, all intertwined. To them, it's no separation when it comes to the Bektashi. You see what I'm saying?
But there's no obligation. There's no obligation to join any higher bodies. Once you go to the third, it's on you as to how far you go and what you want out of, sorry to cut your wisdom.
No worries. But yeah, it's like the Bektashi, it's to them, to the Bektashi, their practice is simultaneously alchemical, Islamic, Masonic, and Kabbalistic. How about that?
That's deep. You see how beautiful that is?
Yeah.
You see how everybody here traveled, right? At one point. I remember it was 2005 when brothers had the whole spookism about joining Masonry. I'm like, how about if we start our own order? How would brothers respond? See how they move? Because you're so caught up in the spookism, you get to see people built worlds behind this thing, right? They built worlds. Meanwhile, we're still stuck in our minds on spookism and discrimination and everything else, not understanding the sciences.
It's that's the mindset and the language of the powerless.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. We're so used to being without power that we demonize people that we perceive as having power.
Yeah.
Because we've been so conditioned that we believe it ain't for us.
Yeah, see, I didn't grow up with that. I grew up into that, seeing it in other people and hearing certain things and not understanding where it came from, because I got a song, where I say my father was a mason, his father was a carpenter. You know what I'm saying? So I grew up with my father taking us into places and we watching him, do certain things and greet brothers. And we like, what is this crazy ass dance that dad does with his friends? You know what I'm saying? Like, and like, so, and it was never like, I never in my life as a Mason, I've never had any experiences where, quote unquote, white Masons didn't accept me. I never saw my father have any situations where white, like it was like what I got gray hair.
I never had that problem.
Yeah, I got. Let me tell you this, because this might be a good analogy or an example. I got gray hair from my dad. One of the first herbal formulas that I learned, my father told me, he said, look, it's a bunch of work. It might be a pain in the ass to do, but if you notice, my hair gets grayer and then blacker in certain periods. When I really want to get on top of it, I know how to do it. I'm going to take you downtown to meet my Chinese brothers, and, they'll show you how to do woo, woo, woo. So he took me down to Chinatown, and we get down to Chinatown, and these is like Chinese mafia kind of guys, but they all Masons, and they're all herbalists. So as a teenager, he introduces me to them, and they show me herbs and bop, 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 and they teach me about certain plants that, are melanogenic. They induce melanin synthesis in different places of the body and stuff like that. So these are Chinese guys, though. Like these are not like American Chinese people. These are Chinese guys. Like they barely speak English, and they're not interested in learning English. Like these are Chinese guys. Like, so this is global. This is not, there's no like the white Masons and that's not a thing. That only people that's not really educated speak like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that. It's brothers
Absolutely, because it has changed drastically. And to make a correction, the individuals who went over there to the Patashi order was Flemings and the bull by the name of what's his name, Florence.
So also
Flowers.
I said Flowers.
Also to Sabatendorf, right? Sabatendorf went over. This is a point of something that, you know, a little bit of information for the listeners and the viewers. Rudolf von Sabatendorf was a Austrian national that fought in World War I. You know, Germany got beat up bad, and which of course that defeat is what gave rise to radical German nationalism. So he had some European German Jewish friends that, and you know, they were also initiated Freemasons that introduced him to the Bektashi order in Istanbul, Turkey. He joins, and then later goes back to Germany and forms his own secret society. That secret society is called the Thule Society. The Thule Society developed a political side called the German Workers' Party, which became the what? The Nazi Party.
I heard about that, and later on the Third Reich, they was into that.
Yeah, the whole SS, the entire SS were all Thule Society members.
I heard them before, yeah.
Yeah, they're all Thule Society.